Coming up next, how the coronavirus is changing remote work. And I'll tell you what you can be certain of in times of uncertainty. We'll take your calls and your chats. It starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville. You're joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you want to do it, and how you can get there. I'm Ken, and yes, I am in fact live. This is not a hologram. I'm here. We are in the studio. We are continuing to move forward. We're excited that you're here with us. Hey, for some of you, welcome aboard. You're just on YouTube looking for anything and everything to watch. You're tired of the cat videos. Well, now you're locked in to a really purposeful and positive conversation. It's about you because we know that you were created to fill a unique role. That means that you are needed and you must do it. More on that a little bit later as we talk about what can you be certain of in times of uncertainty. It feels as though uncertainty just keeps ratcheting up. And so what do we do in these times? I've got something that will really encourage you. But first, let's get to some current news that will shape your landscape, the landscape of work in the very near future, and I think in the long-term future. How the coronavirus is creating a watershed moment for remote work. From Forbes magazine, William Arruda is the writer of this. Now, for those of you who watch the show on a regular basis, I actually talked about this last week. I said, I'm telling you, you're going to see a huge trend towards remote working post-virus. Now, of course, you're going to see more and more and I think over the next 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, you're going to see probably some type of announcement come down where there is a national quarantine. I think that's coming regardless. You're going to see certain companies opt to send their workers home just until we see how this thing plays out. So I said this was coming. This is a great piece by William Arruda. Here we go. According to Gallup, 43% of U.S. employees work remotely all or some of the time. 43% right now, prior to this virus, work remotely. A study by Owl Labs revealed that 34% of U.S. workers would take a pay cut of up to 5% if they could work remotely. A recent CNBC story captured the generational divide on this issue. Younger generation managers are more likely to embrace remote working, both for their employees and their staff. 3/4 of millennial and Gen Z managers have team members who work a significant portion of their time remotely, versus 58% of baby boomers. Now, in 2018, 44% of global companies didn't allow remote work at all. So they're still going, no, we're not going to do remote. It doesn't work for us. I get it. And by the way, I have no problem with that. In a survey by Harvard Business School that came out in a New York Times article with the title, "Young People Are Going to Save Us All from Office Life," the majority of respondents said that these new developments plus other developments affecting their business included employees' expectations for flexible, autonomous work. So this is, again, prior to the virus, the coronavirus, employees are already saying, hey, we want more flexibility in our day. And we're already seeing that IBM, which nearly 3 years ago ended remote work for some U.S. employees, said it has asked workers in coronavirus-affected areas to work from home wherever possible. So again, now that's here in the United States. So what does this mean for you? What do I take away from this that I think you should take away? That if you have wanted to work remotely, that's your jam, that's what you'd like, and you can make the business case to your leader, now's the time. Because you're going to see companies rethinking this because it is going to be forced on them, if you will, from either governmental sources or just societal circumstances, the medical factors here. It's going to be forced on companies to send people home. And so when they do, systems will have to adapt. Okay? People will have to adapt. Leaders will have to adapt. Expectations will have to adapt. Culture will have to adapt. The workplace culture is going to change in a big way. So going forward, if that's something you want to do and you are a leader who believes it could work for your company, I'm telling you that you're going to have a more receptive audience than you've ever had before with your company's leadership as they look at their policies. And I think you're going to see an explosion, an absolute explosion of people working from home in companies that previously did not allow it. I'm telling you that's coming. So if that is something you like, be prepared to make your case. 844-747-2577 is the number, 844-747-2577. Before I get to Miranda, who's standing by in Phoenix, Arizona, listen, fire those chats away. I've got my computer right here. We're going to get to those questions momentarily. If you've never called into the show before and you're going, I want to get in today, you don't need to be nervous. I'm going to take good care of you. We don't even have to talk about your career situation. If you just need to be encouraged, you're just scared, I'm here. That's why we do what we do. So we're going to open it up. In times of uncertainty, you got a question, you think I could speak to it? You think I can encourage you? Let me help you think through some uncertainty. Let's break your situation down. Come on. 844-747-2577. Miranda's up next in Phoenix. Miranda, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thank you for taking my call.
Happy to. What's going on, Miranda?
So I've been teaching for about 6 years. I have a ton of buildup from education in my current place of employment. And I'm just not passionate about what and where I'm teaching anymore. So I'm looking to get out of education. I love designing online content for personal development and leadership type skills. So my questions, actually I have two. How do I push past that buildup to be confident in the new path that I'm pursuing? And what types of places, departments, roles can I find that type of work?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what the buildup you're experiencing. I teach 5 causes. I think they all fall in these categories. Any buildup that you're experiencing is either no passion for the work, there's toxic work environment, you're overwhelmed. 4th, you feel unrewarded, unrecognized in your work. And then 5, you're bored. Which of those 5 are you experiencing the most of?
I would say there's a lot of boredom. My work environment is somewhat toxic. Okay. And I'm just not passionate about the topic that I'm teaching anymore.
All right. So when you ask me, how do I push past that to move forward? I don't really think you have to push at all. I think you just have to realize those 3 things. So as you look forward, you want to make sure that you don't apply and try to connect to get hired in a place that has a toxic work environment. So you know what that feels like. Okay, so that's, know what that tastes like, smells like, acts like, feels like, sounds like, you get that. So you just have to be aware. So that's actually a great experience for you to call back on. Now, the being bored, same deal. I think the no passion and being bored, those are going hand in hand because you're really passionate about personal growth, leadership, development, content. That's what you like to read and consume, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, see, that's beautiful. So I don't think you have to push back anything. I just think that now you're really, really aware and you let that awareness guide you and create these riverbanks for what you're going to be going after. Now let's go to question 2. But before I go to question 2, I'm curious, do you need to work or do you have some financial flexibility and freedom?
I do need the work.
Yeah. You haven't made a decision to leave teaching yet, have you?
I have.
So you're gone. You've left.
Well, I'm finishing out my school year until May, and then that will be the end of it.
Okay, and you have nothing lined up. So we're looking for something where you can design online content, but you don't have a lot of experience doing this, do you?
I actually this year got quite a bit of experience. I designed an online course for the staff at my school that's all about self-care, personal development.
Great. Did it get picked up?
Yeah, well, I designed it for free for my campus, and now there are other schools that are interested in it.
Okay, good.
I just don't get paid for it.
No, I know. Okay, and then, because here's where we're at. So you've gotten some experience, which is good, and you need to leverage that. And I'm going to tell you something else. You have got to use my proximity principle. I don't think you just applying online is a good way to go, because you don't have a ton of work experience, and even the experience that you've talked about that you've created, you've produced yourself, which is awesome. Really proud of you for that. You don't have a lot of stuff to lean on. So we've got to really be working the web of connections, which I write about in my book, The Proximity Principle. What you're doing here is you're identifying some companies, and this is a research project. So as a teacher, you can do this. Okay, so this is the answer to your second question. I'm just moving right into this. You've got to identify companies that are in that space, that content space for leadership, small business. You know what you're looking for. So if you know what you're looking for, it's who's providing this content. And ideally, we want them to be in Phoenix, Arizona, although it's possible that you could work from afar. But ideally, who's doing this content, who's creating this content, and then how can you get connected to somebody in that building that you have a relationship with? It's just that simple. Now, it doesn't mean that's going to happen right away for you, Miranda, but the process of identifying is first. Okay, who's doing this? Who's creating some type of content that I could take my writing skills and my content development skills and plug into what they're doing. Okay. And so then we go, all right, who do I know that knows somebody that works over there, so that I get a chance to have a real conversation, not just apply and hope that somebody notices me. Does that make sense? Now, let me give you what I think is the reality here. I think it's a very limited group of companies that do that in Phoenix, Arizona, if I had to guess. Because this content you want to do is very specialized. Am I right? Okay. So you might have to build up to that. So what do we do in the interim is the real thing that I'm concerned about. And I say concerned, not as in I'm worried, but that's my first focus is we've got to get you a good, solid, stable job, preferably doing something that you enjoy and something that you're good at, okay? But it may not be creating those results that you want right out of the gate, but it gives you some stability as you transition. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if it's a writing job or, some type of involved with some type of content development, or is it another educational position that's not quite as pigeonholed as what you've been in? You've got to have a backup plan, a stable day job plan that allows you to pursue the dream job. That's what I think you've got to focus on.
Okay.
You tracking with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So identify what's out there, who's doing it, how they're doing it. Do they have positions that are available? If they don't, you don't get discouraged. We go get another day job that keeps you stable and you keep those writing chops going. It's very much like my journey into radio. You don't just say, hey, I want to do a radio show. It doesn't work that way. You've got to build up to it. And Miranda, that's where you are, but you can get there. 844-747-2577 is the number. The questions are coming in on the chat window, so keep firing away. Whatever you got, we're going to get to. We're going to do some extended time in the chat room today, so go. 844-747-2577 is the number. Scott joins us next in Colorado Springs. Scott, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Ken, what's happening, man?
Nothing, Scott. I mean, everything seems to be normal, doesn't it?
It seems to be. I don't see many effects from this worldwide panic that everybody's suffering from.
Well, that's good news. How can I help you?
I've gotten into this situation where I've been listening to your show for the last 3 weeks, and man, I got to say you've inspired me. So I've been in construction for most of my life. I've owned my own business doing hardwood floors. And recently I started schooling to go into project management for construction. But after listening to you and getting clear about like what I'm good at and what I love to do, it's not lining up with what I'm going to school for, in which, what I'm good at is teaching, inspiring and encouraging others, and just kind of helping others see their obstacles in different lights, connecting dots of something that they're really good at and helping them see how their problems relate to that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't see the forest through the trees on my own problems.
Right.
So I guess my question is, because what I want to get into is, being some sort of like I love martial arts, and I've been doing it since I was about 8 years old. Had a little issue about 10 years ago where I was given an ultimatum to choose family or the dojo that I was living the dream, but I had to choose between raising my 1-year-old son or continuing in my dream. I chose family, and now I have an opportunity to go back to it, but it costs money to get to that goal.
How much money does it cost?
Well, I mean, so I have 8 years experience in one style, but you're looking at $225 a month to re-educate and then get into the academy, which is $500 a month.
What academy is this, to teach you multiple disciplines?
No, so the one academy is for Kempo, and then there would be another academy for Jiu-Jitsu. So it would teach both, but that's essentially what I want to get into, is being able to teach like MMA, but also inspiring and teaching, as a life coach.
Okay, hold on. So let's. All right, so hold on. I want to get caught up. So if we rewind 8 years ago, before this choice was put to you and you had to get out of it, you only had the one discipline there. Were you successful? Were you paying for all your bills and had a little bit of a surplus, or was it a side hustle only?
Mm-hmm. No, it was my primary gig, and I was just barely making it by at that time. But I had a brand new school where it was only like 15 students, and I only had it for about 9 months before I was given this choice.
Okay, so here's my question. I'm just trying to understand, because I don't know your world. Do you think you could get back into it on the side and start making some decent money on the side with just the one discipline? So meaning you don't have to go to these academies, the $250 a month and then the $500 a month.
Okay.
You see where I'm going? Okay. I'm asking.
Yeah. Could you? Yeah. Because then in a private lesson form, I could charge in that manner. The difficulty comes in giving them an opportunity to apply it with multiple students. So like they can learn the techniques, and I could teach them the moves, and we could work hand in hand. But since everybody fights differently, it would be like one of those. Like they could fight against me really well with enough practice against me.
I guess what I'm asking is
them that opportunity.
I guess what I'm asking, I just don't know the marketing and I don't understand the value like you do of having these other disciplines. Are you saying that, let's say I took care of the money. Let's say I wrote you a check. I'm not going to, so don't get excited. But let's just say that somebody took care of the $250 a month, which gets you certified or something, you said, and then we got to go learn something else at $500 a month. Let's say we cover those costs. Are you much more confident now to launch your side studio? Is that what I'm hearing? That when you got those disciplines, it's going to make you more marketable. So it means you think that you're going to get more students to show up, bigger classes, which means this thing is rocking?
Yeah, the more disciplines, or great. Combination of more disciplines does attract more versatile students.
All right, so let me ask you this. How much money total is it? The $250 a month, how many months? Plus the $500 a month, how many months? What's the total amount of dollars that gets you certified? Now you're feeling really good.
Probably looking at about 36 months each. So 5 times 3, looking probably about 15,000.
Really? Okay. And you work for yourself. You work for yourself right now, right?
No. So I'm in construction, and I'm trying to work my way up through the ladder because I see where the money is in project management and superintendent. But just seeing like how it's operated from my current position as a foreman, I'm just like, really? I mean,
yeah, but hold on a second. You moving up in construction right now is the way you're going to fund the dojo or whatever.
Right. So yeah, that was my ultimate question, is that I'm in school now. School's about to continue because I took a break, and I was like, oh man, do I continue on this knowing that it's not my passion, but I know that it funds my dream?
Well, if let me say this, if the schooling allows you to keep getting promoted in construction, then I would do it, because the promotion in construction is going to come up with the $15,000.
The funds because that was my ultimate question.
Yeah, because here's the deal: 3 to 5 years from now, you should be very successful. You've done it before. You know what it takes to win. I think the schooling, project manager, there's got to be something positive you can take out of that'll help you run your business down the road. I think that there's only one way to do it, unless you come up with cash some other way. You got to pay.
Nothing legal that I could think of.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we don't like it looks good. Those are fun stories on TV, but not in real life. So,
right, exactly.
I think you keep moving up in construction, and that's going to help you. And I think you need more time anyway. So use this time. The mindset needs to be, what else can I do while I'm going to school, and while I'm working to fund my future? What else can I do to make sure that when the time comes for me to launch part 2, Dojo 2.0, okay?
Yeah.
That I know how to do it the right way. I'm in the right place. I didn't overextend myself as far as a building. Just really use this time so that you take the experience of the past and it allows you to win in the future. I really like that. Appreciate the call, Scott. 844-747-2577. Coming up, I'm going to teach in these uncertain times, what is at least one thing you can be certain of? And that's what I'm going to tell you. But to the chat room we go. Tan Lee writes in, will productivity go down if people work from home? I think the answer to that is yes and no. How do you like that for a political answer? No, I'm not running for Congress. Let me explain. I think some people who aren't committed, who aren't deeply passionate about their work, I think they'll skate a little bit when they don't have supervision, they don't have peers and accountability around them. Absolutely. I don't think there's any question. That's just the human condition. That's not me being negative. It's just a fact. So I think in some cases, yes, productivity will go down. In other cases, I don't think it will, because I think as we started the top of today's show, we know that a lot of people love the idea of working from home. I also think, just being completely honest, on the other side of things, about America's leadership and businesses, I think there's a lot of fat cut into people's day. I really do. I think there's a lot of meetings that are unnecessary. I think there's a lot of operations that aren't efficient. They just do them that way because, well, we've always done them that way. And so when somebody goes home, and as I mentioned earlier in the program, that systems must adapt, leaders must adapt, because the customer still needs to be served, I do think that will force companies to be more efficient. And I think there's a lot of great men and women out there who will work hard from home and will do a great job because it affords them flexibility. And they say, if I do a good job and I go overboard and prove to my leader that I'm busting it from home, I think you're going to see productivity go up in a lot of cases. And again, that's the shift, is when companies go, okay, we can trust people. Let me just break this whole thing down for you, Tan Lee, and everybody else. The reluctance to have people work from home, to me, comes down to one thing. Does the leader trust that the people are doing their job when coworkers and they aren't around to watch them and monitor them? It just comes down to that. But there's all kinds of positions and all kinds of people who are winning in a remote environment. So that's why I said yes and no. All right, Just Moni writes in, which job search engines do you recommend for finding work other than Indeed, LinkedIn, etc., to make extra money while working to get certified for the dream job? Well, I wish I had a list of sites. I'm not going to go through a bunch of sites because number one, I don't want to endorse something that I've not vetted. These sites that you mentioned are, top of mind. These are household brands. You've got Glassdoor. You've got all types of sites out there. But I've just become aware recently of an app that we're in conversation with them because I find it to be interesting. But they are specializing in these odd jobs, small jobs. So people need a job for less than $100 or $200, and they don't have anybody to do it, and you can do it. It's kind of like, think about like Uber. People make money driving Uber or Lyft because somebody needs a ride and everybody to give them a ride. So boom, you jump in. And I think you're going to see more and more of this happening, specialty type services like an Uber. And so this company that we're talking to right now is essentially an Uber for odd jobs, small jobs around the house. Take me, for instance. I barely know how to handle a hammer and a screwdriver. I got the basics. I can do it, but I promise you I don't do it as good as your husband. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Like poor Stacy, pray for her. And there's certain jobs around the house that I just can't do. And so they don't get done. But if I know I can go boop on this website and put in my job and somebody comes out and does it, happy wife, happy life, the whole deal. So I think that you need to do more research because I think there's a lot more out there than you realize. So you don't need me to give you a list. They got this thing called the Google. And if you punch stuff in there and hit go, stuff comes up. So go do that. Let's go to Jason Dyson. He says, I quit a recession-proof job related to remote work. It's only growing now. A few months ago to increase my income and flexibility. I was just offered to go back. Should I accept? You just took a job a few months ago to increase your income, which he did. He got a $20,000 raise and some flexibility. So I don't see anything in your question, Jason, that says you should go back. I just don't. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, a lot of uncertainty. If we go into recession and this new job gets cut, what do? I'm going to be stuck versus going back to this recession-proof job. No, I would not do that because you got more pay and more flexibility. Ride this thing out. Which let me address this. You could talk to a different economist every hour on the hour over the next week, and they'll give you a different opinion on whether or not this coronavirus is going to throw the United States economy, much less the world economy, into a recession. I'm not seeing an overwhelming amount of evidence that we're headed into a recession because of this. Primarily because the fundamentals of this economy, folks, were very strong. Okay? We had another record jobs report in February. So are we going to see our GDP drop a little bit? No question. The gross domestic product is going to drop over the next 6 to 8 weeks because some parts of the economy are contracting, okay? Mainly restaurants, tourism, things of that nature, if I'm going to just kind of keep this thing really general, okay? However, there are certain industries right now that are exploding, people that are hiring, okay? So healthcare, boom, it was already going nuts. You're going to see that expand. The government's pumping in money to this economy. So you're going to have certain businesses or sectors, if you will, of the economy that are going to expand during this season. And then you'll have others that'll contract. My gut is, based on common sense and what I'm seeing so far, is that where we contract, there'll be other areas that expand. And what you'll see is this thing kind of level out. The other thing you're going to see is this. Really, really good economy. Could even say strong to very warm economy right before this thing hits, the coronavirus. Consumers are going to contract and stay home. Guess what happens after we've all been hanging out with just our family for 8 weeks? Oh, man. The moment we get the all clear sign, there's going to be billions of dollars flooding back into the economy while experiencing historically low mortgage rates and things like that. So I think you could see a contracting of the housing market over the next 6 to 8 weeks, but then all of a sudden, boom, it goes nuts. You go do your homework, folks. When the housing economy's blowing up, the economy's usually really, really good. So I would not, I know, Jason, I just expanded your question for everybody, but if I were you, I would stay put. You got a raise, you got a lot of flexibility. I would stay with that. Okay. One more. Jennifer 89, what jobs can I apply for to withstand the recession? Right now, there are a lot of these, but I would be looking for opportunities in healthcare. Support in healthcare is where I would be looking. I think we're too early in for me to give you this long list of jobs because I think things are just absolutely too uncertain right now. We just don't know what's going to happen over the next 2 weeks. But I can tell you this, healthcare, jobs that are related to helping the elderly. Okay. I'm telling you right now, grocery stores, if you're looking for part-time work, I'm telling you this one for sure. I'll give you this one. America's grocers are on double time right now. They're trying to stock shelves as quick as they can. They're manufacturing this stuff. Let me tell you who's not struggling in this economy. The companies that are making toilet paper and paper towels, they're getting record profits right now. They just are. And here's what's happened. Some people have overreacted to the point of losing their minds. And I come back from New York on Friday. I've been gone 3 days. Go to my grocery store, no toilet paper. So I call Stacy. I go, hey, I'm kind of making fun of this online and everything. I think it's an overreaction, but I'm just curious. How much toilet paper do we actually have? Because we're the people who might need it in another week, right? And I'm laughing with her. She's like, well, I think we're going to be fine. So then I go, well, wait a second. Toilet paper executives are having a party right now. They're going bananas. And guess what? They're going to get more toilet paper out. And then these morons who bought a year's worth of toilet paper, they're going to be just, looking for places to put the toilet paper. So I did walk over to the baby wipe aisle. I'll be honest. This might be an overshare. Okay. But I thought, well, are people buying baby wipes too? Gone. Everybody else had the same thought. So there you go. I thought, well, this could work. And I was very excited, Nathan. So I skipped over to that aisle. I go, I'll bet people haven't thought about this. Oh, yes, they have. So here's the deal. Certain parts you will see this, by the way, in the next couple weeks. You're going to see more and more reports of certain sectors of the economy that are just going up. And it's just the nature of the game. So I said this on Fox News. I'm going to say this and we're going to get to the teaching. But consumer confidence is what's driving our economy. Our economy is so big, consumer confidence is a huge factor. So if you're still buying certain things, you may not be going to restaurants, you may not be doing touristy things, but to the extent that you're still buying, that's going to calm a lot of people down. A lot of people. So keep that confidence up, be smart. Don't go into hoarding mentality, and everything's going to eventually cycle through. Okay, so what's the one thing? This is what I teased at the top of the show. What's the one thing that you can be certain of in uncertain times? And here it is. Your purpose, your why. That's what you can be certain of. The thing that you dream of doing. The dream. Nobody's taking that from you. Is it possible that it might get delayed for a while? Sure. Could circumstances change that affect your current plan and path? Absolutely. But does your dream still exist? The answer is absolutely. Are you still created to fill a unique role? Do you still matter tremendously? Do you still need to do it? Absolutely. If you're not careful, you can get caught up in the uncertainty, which creates anxiety and fear. And then all of a sudden doubt goes, oh, there's a party over here. My boy Fear is throwing a block party. I'm going to roll in too. And then they just jump on you. And you start going, well, I was making progress. And then the coronavirus hit. And you know what? Turned the world upside down. And I'm just a victim. Now that could happen very easily. Don't let that happen. Use this time. If you've got some downtime or all of your plans get halted or the side hustle has, whatever it is, I don't know. But if something changes and your timeline and some of the progress you've been making gets threatened, what can you do? Keep thinking. Get innovative. Keep planning. Adjust so that when things return to normalcy, and they will, you're prepared. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down. Get determined. Because I can tell you this, in times of uncertainty, the one thing you can be certain of is that your dream is still very much alive. Your unique role, your contribution to this world is still very much needed. Don't lose sight of that. 844-747-2577 is the number. Let's go to Brittney, who's on the line in Arizona. Brittney, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello.
how you doing?
I'm good, Brittney. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. So I'm currently working on my master's in education, and towards the end of the semester, I was supposed to get certified in teaching K through 5, and I'm basically failing. And what the university told me is that they'll let me graduate with a master's, but I won't be licensed to teach.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my undergrad is in art education, and I haven't done any, I think I haven't really pursued art much in the last couple of years, and I'm thinking maybe I should go into that, but then I'm like, I feel kind of lost, and I took some student loans out, so I have to work hard, to pay those back. So, yeah, I was just calling to kind of look for a direction.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. If you weren't failing in your licensing or whatever you're going through right now, would you still want to teach?
Yes and no.
What's the no?
I think the problem. Well, when I first started teaching, and this is where, this semester, I just felt incredibly exhausted.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I felt incredibly exhausted, but I did. I enjoy helping people, and I enjoy seeing that light, when you teach somebody like one-on-one, and that light comes on, that makes me excited.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
what's exhausting you? This is okay. By the way, I don't want you to have any shame in your answers, because the more clear you can be with me, the more insight I can give you. And I have a sense of something, but I want you to be really honest. What about the schooling and the student teaching or whatever was so exhausting that it's basically shut you down and you're failing?
See, I'm guessing. Well,
just say it.
I think I was just kind of beaten so bad that when I went to, I decided to go to teaching elementary school because I was afraid I wasn't going to make a living teaching art.
Okay. So your answer is you realize you have no desire to teach in an elementary setting at all. And it started to wear on you. Am I understanding this correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so then you go, you already started to feel lost your motivation because you're like, I don't want to do this. You became exhausted because there's some mental and emotional exhaustion there, and you started failing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who do you want to teach? Forget everything else we've discussed at this moment. If I guaranteed you were going to be successful at teaching this thing to these people, what would it be? Because you already told us that you come alive when you can instruct people. So who do you want to instruct, and what do you want to instruct them on? Just say it. What's your heart tell you?
See, that's the part I don't know. I think I like just teaching, like dealing with one-on-one.
Great. Who?
And maybe adults. I mean, just knowing that I mean, I'm not very assertive, but I like knowing that I made a difference in somebody's life.
Right. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you one more shot. You don't have to own this right now, but I want you to take a stab at it. Okay. And I'm going to give you a homework assignment. You're really close. You know exactly what you want to do. You want to have that one-on-one or one-to-few connection where you're instructing and guiding and encouraging somebody. Who is that somebody, and what are you helping them with? What's the problem you most want to solve? What's the solution you most want to provide? What comes to your heart right now? Say it.
Well, I was really passionate about my art, and when I was working my undergrad, I mean, all my professors said I had a lot of talent and stuff like that. But I think I just got up. I think I burnt myself out in the process.
Well, yeah, you were pursuing something, and all this pressure and all this external stuff coming at you, and then all this internal stuff of doubt and fear combining with, I don't actually like this. That'll do that to anybody. So are you a painter, sculptor? What is it?
I drew a lot.
Okay, great. Here's the deal. Here's what I think. I think you need to free your soul, and you need to go, okay, I just need to go get a good day job that I'm decent at, and it's a nice environment. It's not toxic. And what I think you need to do is get stable, take all the pressure off of yourself financially, and then start dipping your toe back into the artistic waters. Who could you draw for? Could you maybe get into graphic design and take some of that sketching and drawing? Or could you start an art class or go teach for some art class? Or could you maybe get on the university level and actually teach the college classes that you excelled in? I think you got some more homework to do. That's your homework assignment. Where could you do this long term? Let's figure out what that is, how we would get there. And while you're doing that, you got a good day job where you're not burned out. You don't feel all that stress and anxiety. There's no more buildup causing you the feelings of burnout. I think if you do that, that's your plan. And figure that out, how to best get there. But don't just get overwhelmed and say, I don't know how I'm going to make money. That's not the right question. It's, where could I do what I want to do? What would it take to get there to be able to do it full time all the time? Well, folks, our time is almost up. But before I let you go, you matter, and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.